Sometimes, life doesn't just throw curveballs, it hurls wrecking balls that shatter the very foundations of your world. One moment, you think you've weathered the worst storm, that the skies are finally clearing, and in the next, you find yourself suffocating beneath the weight of a new and unimaginable betrayal. This is the story of a woman who thought she had overcome the darkest chapter of her life, only to be thrust into a nightmare far more horrifying than she could have ever anticipated. Welcome to Fractured Bonds, where every story reveals a deeper truth. 10 years. That's how long we'd been married. 10 years of building a life together, creating a family, surviving the day-to-day chaos of raising 3 children, a 5-year-old, a 3-year-old, and our precious 9-month-old baby. But it was also 10 years of constant work, of trying to be the perfect wife, the perfect mother, always putting everyone else's needs above my own. 2.5 years ago, the truth came crashing down on me like an avalanche. My husband had been having an affair for 6 months. The betrayal gutted me. I wasn't just angry, I was destroyed. Our marriage seemed beyond repair. We separated, both of us seeking solace in our own ways, me through therapy, him through whatever self-justifications he clung to. We spent almost a year apart, both of us supposedly working on ourselves while deciding if our marriage was worth saving. In the end, we chose to try again. It wasn't easy, but I believed in second chances, and we both dove into counseling and therapy, determined to rebuild what had been lost. During this delicate reconciliation, I became pregnant with our 3rd child, a surprise that felt like a symbol of renewal, of hope that maybe we could make it work. But hope can be a dangerous thing. For a time, it seemed like we were succeeding. My husband appeared devoted to mending our broken relationship. He attended every counseling session, read every book on rebuilding trust, and made all the right gestures. He apologized. He took responsibility. He jumped through every hoop I laid before him. He worked hard to regain my trust, and slowly, so slowly, I began to believe that maybe we could find a way forward. He became more attentive than ever before, more considerate, more loving. For the first time in years, I felt like we were operating as a team. We talked through our issues, even when the conversations were hard. We argued, sure, but we worked through it. And although my trust in him wasn't fully restored, I believed that in time, it would be. It was a process, after all. Trust isn't rebuilt overnight, but piece by piece, moment by moment. But then the signs started. It wasn't anything big at first. Little things. Subtle changes in his behavior. He was being too nice. Too attentive. He volunteered for errands he'd never bothered with before, like grocery shopping, or picking up food instead of having it delivered. He started taking the kids to parks on the other side of town, places he'd never visited before. And then there was his work schedule, which had suddenly shifted. He used to come home at a reasonable hour, but now his days stretched longer and longer. At first, I tried to dismiss it. After all, people can change, right? Maybe this was part of his effort to be a better husband, a better father. But there was something else, an unease that gnawed at the back of my mind. And the more I tried to push it away, the more it clawed at me. Late one night, as I lay in bed staring at the ceiling, I couldn't ignore it anymore. The feeling of dread was overwhelming, a sinking sensation in the pit of my stomach that told me something was horribly wrong. I tried to remind myself that I'd been down this road before, that I was paranoid because of what had happened in the past. But no matter how much I rationalized it, I couldn't shake the suspicion. I told myself I wouldn't do it again. I told myself I wouldn't stoop to the level of spying on him, of following him around like a detective in a bad crime novel. But I couldn't stop myself. When he offered to take our 9-month-old out for errands one Saturday afternoon, I decided to follow him. My heart pounded in my chest as I drove, tailing his car from a distance, trying to act as inconspicuously as possible. My mind raced with possibilities, each one worse than the last. Was I crazy? Was I wrong to think something was going on? Was I about to ruin everything for no reason? And then I saw them. His car was parked in a secluded lot behind a grocery store, far from where any customers would park. My stomach twisted in knots as I pulled my car to a stop behind a row of trees, my hands shaking as I peered out the window. There she was. The same woman from his first affair. She was sitting on his lap in the front seat, her hands tangled in his hair, and they were having sex. And then I saw our baby, fast asleep in the back seat. I felt like I had been punched in the gut. My vision blurred, and for a moment, I thought I might pass out. How could this be happening? How could he be doing this again, and worse, with our baby in the car? My chest heaved, and my breath came out in ragged gasps as I watched the scene unfold before me. I didn't confront them right away. I couldn't. I was frozen in shock, my mind struggling to comprehend the reality of what I was seeing. When I finally forced myself to move, it was as though I was underwater, my body sluggish and heavy. I got out of my car and walked over, my legs trembling with every step. When I knocked on the window, my husband's face turned pale. His mistress scrambled to cover herself, but I didn't care. I didn't care about her, about the lies, about anything except for the fact that he had betrayed me again, with our innocent child sitting mere feet away. How could you? My voice cracked, raw with pain and fury. How could you do this to us? How could you do this to me, to our baby? His excuses came tumbling out, pathetic and hollow. The baby was asleep, he said, as though that made it okay. It's no different than when we're in the bedroom with the baby asleep in the crib. I slapped him. I didn't even realize what I was doing until my hand connected with his face, the sharp crack echoing in the empty lot. My hand stung, but the satisfaction was fleeting. I don't remember much after that. Somehow, I got back in my car, drove home, and called my therapist, setting an emergency appointment for the next day. I was seething with rage, so consumed by my anger that I could barely see straight. When I sat in my therapist's office the next morning, I told her everything. I wanted to destroy him. I wanted to ruin his life the way he had ruined mine. But instead of feeding my anger, she tried to calm me down. I didn't want to be calm. I didn't want to be talked off the ledge. I wanted to scream, to break things, to watch his world burn. I spent the next few days in a daze, my mind swirling with thoughts of vengeance. Every time I looked at my baby, I was reminded of what he had done. Every time I saw my husband's face, I felt sick to my stomach. How could I ever forgive him for this? How could I ever trust him again? Late one night, I found myself standing in our bedroom, staring at the wedding photo on the wall. I had once looked at that photo and seen love, hope, and a future filled with endless possibilities. Now, all I saw was a lie I had been telling myself for far too long. I couldn't do this anymore. I'm not sure what the future holds for me or my children. The pain of betrayal runs deep, and the scars will likely never fully heal. But one thing I know for certain, I won't allow myself to be consumed by anger. I won't let him destroy me the way he has tried to. I have my children to think about, and they deserve a mother who is strong, even when the world is falling apart around her. For now, I'm focusing on them and on myself. This is far from over, but it's the beginning of a new chapter. One where I'm no longer a victim of his lies, but the author of my own story. With this, the story comes to an end, but the journey doesn't stop here. Thank you for exploring the stories that shape us. If you enjoyed this one, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more content like this. See you again soon.